continuing on with advice for the 20-something-year-old writers that we get feedback from, I think you mentioned that you went to see the writer Jorge Luis Borges speak.
Yes.
And that he said, I'm finally getting better. And he was 80-some?
Yes. Right. No, because this is something that happens a lot. Writers will say, well, when will it be ready? When will it be ready? Or it's ready, it's ready. I mean, I have a client who I love dearly, and we work very closely together. And many, many drafts ago, she said, okay, this is it. This is the final draft. And I'm like, I would love for it to be the final draft. I don't want, it's not like, I mean, I do it with consulting, but it's not like I want, my biggest bailiwick, if you will, or heyday is to have a really strong script that I can take out to the market and get set up with a production company, studio network, etc. And so I'm reading it, and one of the things, we had changed the location from overseas to New York. And we changed one of the characters from an Italian to a New York Italian, and she had changed his name. So I think he was Giovanni, and then he became Luca. So when I was reading that script, the character, she kept going back and forth with the name. And that's just a very simple fix. But, you know, here's someone saying it's final, and I want it to be final, and it wasn't, you know, 100% perfect yet, just even on a very cosmetic level. So the notion of, and when you brought up Jorge Luis Borges, that I was in college, and he came to our campus and spoke, and he was in his, I think he was about 82, and he was going blind, and he said, here I am, and I'm going blind, and I'm 82, and I feel like I am just now getting good at my craft. And here was a man who received some of the highest literary honors you can get. And it was awe-inspiring. And when I see younger writers saying, you know, well, it's done, or it's good enough, and any writer at any age can really say that. I feel like anytime I've watched on some of the talk show interviews with best-selling book authors, amazing directors, screenwriters, very often when they speak, they say it's taken them 7 years. So I feel like, and when I see someone like Borges speak the way he did, if people who are such masters, it's taken them like 7 years or more, or in the case of Borges, a lifetime to just feel like he's getting good, then we need to relish, enjoy, soak up the process of continuing to get better and better and better. So that's, and I mean, anyone we greatly respect, whether today, if it's Aaron Sorkin or Jason Reitman, they all say that, you know, they go through multiple, I mean, Reitman, I think, is like gone through 30, 40 drafts on some of his projects. And with Aaron Sorkin, I don't remember how many like he does, but I also did hear him say once that it takes him anywhere from a year to 18 months to deliver a first draft. He's turning over and over the characters. And so I feel like if these great masters who really have excelled in their fields, in their craft, if it takes them so long, why do we think that if we're just starting out that we should be able to do it sooner? And I'm all for, if it can happen soon, great, but the process is the process.
Right. And Jason is of a generation where they want things faster.
Yes.
So that's very telling in that sense, because I feel like now everything's so sped up,
right,
and instantaneous that it heightens all that.
Yeah.
And we hear on Twitter and see all this stuff about this person's just been discovered, but we don't realize.
We don't realize. And I've heard also with some great writers being interviewed, you know, people say, oh, they just wrote 1 or 2 drafts. And then when you hear them speak, they say that they did multiple drafts. I just feel like basically there really aren't shortcuts. I do think there's an anomaly. Maybe someone can write something and it just everything's aligned and the muse and the ability, and it just flows out of you. And I think that can happen, but it really is an anomaly. Most of the time, things require more and more refinement and craft.
It kind of goes back to what you said earlier about the female showrunner who's achieved great success, but she says people want the outcome, but they probably wouldn't want to do all the hours and all the probably late nights behind a computer stressing over some little detail.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's a huge thing. People don't see some of that work that goes in.
It's true.
And they just want the faster route.
Right.
And it's human nature not to want to have to put in.
Exactly.
But
it's true.